I'm with the Kentwood Company at Cherry Creek, and I'm a broker associate. I'm also a DMAR director. And joining me is Brennick. He's a top producer in the Denver metro area. From his first year as a realtor in '99, his career has been divided between management and sales, and he has been well recognized in both arenas as in management and sales. Brandon's sales production has routinely placed him among the top brokers in Colorado and the nation. He's best known for his abilities in the areas of contract negotiation while consistently providing an unexpected level of service. Brandon and his team were recently ranked top 10 in Denver by DMAR with over 30 million in production. All right, Brandon, I'm excited to have you. Let's get started. First question I've got for you is, what 3 things did you do towards the beginning of your career to help build the business you have today?
Thanks for having me, by the way. You know, I came into the business, the first thing is I came into the business at the right time. In '99, the market was very similar to the way that it is now. And, you know, I had my parents in the business and I was able to work under them for a year, which leads me to the second item. You know, having a mentor was huge. Having a parent that had been in the business and was able to walk me around and show me the ropes, you know, that was kind of a unique experience. A lot of agents don't get to have a mentor the second they come into the business. So I worked under them for a year. And the third thing was, you know, I built a system to sell real estate. I kind of watched what other agents were doing. I watched and listened to how other agents operated and kind of formed my business around, you know, what different people were doing. And I would highly suggest having a system in place that helped me from the get-go.
Okay. What types of marketing activities do you implement within your business, and how do you stay in the flow with your clients?
As far as marketing goes, you know, I have a philosophy that marketing to other agents is almost more important than marketing to the public. You know, ultimately, you're going to, in just about any case, be working with another agent. Marketing to the agent is so important because they're going to be bringing that product to their client, if that makes sense. You know, marketing to my sphere, that's really how I get 100% of my business. I really try to interact with my clients face-to-face and on the phone as much as possible, even in the crazy world of social media and the internet. Do a lot of sporting events with clients, do a lot of happy hours with clients, do a lot of dinners with clients. Getting in front of your clients is again, a very strong marketing tool for me.
Absolutely makes sense. Where would you say the majority of your leads come from?
You know, the majority of my leads come from my sphere of influence. Essentially, you know, I've been in the business 17 years now, and it took me several years to develop a very small sphere, 5 people really, that refer close to 50% of my business each year. One is a lender, and I have 4 clients that range from you know, the 200 to 400,000 range to high-end client who lives in a $2.5 million house. But those people really refer the majority of my business, and that is something that I try to cultivate and work. And I think, you know, if you're a new agent coming into the business, it takes time to create relationships like that. And you know, I think those 5 people really drive my business, and those are where the majority of my leads come from.
Okay, great. Switching gears completely, what are your thoughts on creative contracts? You know, do you think that they help your clients? Do you think that they help prevent any sort of miscommunication within the transaction?
You know, you're probably not going to like the answer to this question, but I'm not a big proponent of creative contracts. You know, I understand in this environment we are going to be using escalation clauses and things like that, but you know, I feel like over the years, simplifying the contract, letting the Colorado contract to buy and sell do the work. It's a well-written contract. Trying to elaborate on different details within that contract or trying to change things, I think muddies the water. So my philosophy, my personal philosophy is when I'm writing a contract, keep it as clean as possible. You know, if there's an issue that comes up down the road, you know, a lot of us agents like to avoid doing amend extends and things like that, but you know, get the basics of the contract in, stay on top of your dates, but don't muddy the water with a bunch of additional verbiage. And that's my personal philosophy. I know there's agents in my office that wouldn't agree with that, but it makes my life easier, and I think it makes my clients' lives easier.
Well, and I think it also keeps people out of trouble, you know, keeping things real clean.
I would agree. And, you know, we live in a litigious society. I know Justin mentioned that last week, but the Colorado contract, I've had experience with contracts in other states, Arizona and Washington, to name a couple. The Colorado contract really is a well-written contract. It's easy to read, and it's probably one of the best in the US. So anyway.
Okay, switching gears again, how did you get started working in the luxury marketplace? And do you have any recommendations for breaking into that market segment?
Well, how did I get started? You know, my clients pretty much pulled me into the luxury marketplace. I didn't identify a specific market segment or area to market to, but you know, in cultivating relationships with your clients, they're first-time home buyers, they have kids, they move up, and then they move up again. And so my clients essentially pulled me into the luxury market. I started selling homes to clients where their previous sale may have been 500, 600,000, and then they moved up to $1 million, and then possibly even to 2 million. And so once that happened, their friends were referred to me. I started getting referrals in the luxury market. So I didn't start out in '99, you know, going after the luxury market. It sort of came to me. And when I started, you know, it was $200,000, $300,000 homes, which I know are probably non-existent in Denver now. But those people moved up, and I was kind of pulled into the market that way. So, and my recommendation for getting into the luxury marketplaces, it goes back to one of my other answers, finding the right referral source. You know, if you have a very good referral source, whether it be a client in Cherry Hills or a client in Greenwood Village, that one person can help you get launched in the luxury market. And then once you're in, you know, you can cultivate it from there and market that specific area. But you know, getting to know that clientele is different than, you know, the mid-end clientele, and it takes time to learn how to market to those to those people, because it is a little bit different than, you know, dealing with your average Joe. So. Okay.
What qualities would you say a realtor needs to possess to be able to work within that market and to be successful?
You know, I think my advice there is look at the people in your office. Look at the people in your office that sell luxury real estate. What do they do? And I'm not saying you need to copy a specific person, but, you know, implementing different systems from different agents that work in the luxury market will take you great lengths. Having that resource or working for an office that has agents that work in the luxury market can help you form your system and get you business in the luxury market. You know, being professional, dressing professional, exude what you exude, essentially, or I should say you exude what your market is going to be. So I hope that makes sense, but I think it's really important to stress that learning from other people is a good way to be a pro in a market.
Okay, so you're talking about observing your peers and also dressing the part.
Yeah, I mean, dressing the part, I don't necessarily mean you have to have a tie, around your neck super tight like I do right now. But, I think you have to kind of cater to that market and cater to that clientele. And that's a sophisticated clientele in most cases. Okay,
that makes sense. Do you have specific listing strategies for luxury homes when you're going on a listing appointment?
That varies. That varies on what certain market segment I'm in, and what I mean by that is my strategy for a listing in Denver is going to be totally different than a listing in Evergreen, where I do some business, versus a luxury condo in Greenwood Village. In Denver, I'm going to have a lot of statistical, quantitative data. And I'm also going to have a lot of marketing material with brochures of homes I've listed in that area. I had a listing up in Evergreen last year. It's a high-end property, and I was competing with a couple of other agents. And what I really tried to do was I had knowledge of the zoning, I had knowledge of the water rights, I had knowledge of the history of the property, and in talking to the clients up there, I catered that listing presentation more to the bones of the property. And we weren't talking about, what luxury magazines the property were going to go in. What we were doing was, or what I was trying to do was say, hey, look, I've got control. I understand what's going on with this property. We're going to put together a marketing packet. And I think that really helped. So my strategy there was less on the marketing side and more on that, knowledge of that particular unique property, where in Denver would be different. So, I mean, does that make sense?
It does. And also in Evergreen, some properties are on wells, whereas we've got, wells and septic systems here, where we've got, public infrastructure here. So I'm sure that plays into it also.
It does. And it's a different market up there. Our high-end market here is still moving at a good solid pace, where up there its saturation is significant in the high-end market. So on Upper Bear Creek, for example, there might be 1 or 2 sales per year over $1 million. So you've really got to be prepared to be the next one to sell, and those properties are very unique. So I don't want to get into Evergreen too much, but again, catering my listing presentation depending on where the property is. I don't have the same listing presentation for each home. Although I have a system, I will manipulate that system a little bit so it fits a specific property. Okay,
but primarily highlighting your knowledge of that market segment when you go onto that listing appointment.
Correct.
Okay. What are your general work guidelines? Do you have a typical structure to your day, or, a certain set of activities that you do every single day?
Yes and no. One thing I do is I'm in the office, and it may be my home office, but the door's shut at 8:30 every morning. Even if I don't necessarily have showings planned or a listing planned, or taking a buyer out, what I really try to do is I treat it like a business, and that was the best advice I got when I got into real estate was, this is your career and this is your business. So I treat it like a business. I've been diligent about that for 17 years. It's something I'm proud of, but I'm in the office at 8:30 and I'm picking up the 10,000-pound receiver, calling 5 clients every morning or mid-morning, and I'm setting up appointments to go to a Rockies game or a Broncos game, or maybe we just meet for coffee, maybe we meet for dinner. But I'm a big proponent of eyeball to eyeball, like I mentioned, that's important. So.
Okay. Another piece of the market that we should focus on are millennials and empty nesters. They're taking up a big percentage of the buyers in the Denver market. And do you have any tips for working with those two demographics?
Yeah, I would definitely separate those two. Millennials, they are tech savvy. They're on social media. They're used to getting instant information, and there's so much more information out there than there was even 5 years ago. That sometimes when I'm meeting with a millennial, I find that they have some information on the house I may not have. So, you really have to be on the ball. And you really have to try to stay up with what's going on in the tech world. It's a tough thing to do. There's a lot of misinformation out there, so that helps me. I think I can combat sometimes when I've got a client that says, I read this, and this, Zillow, Trulia, whatever the website isn't necessarily accurate. And you really need to try to walk them through that and slow them down a little bit. But it's amazing how far technology's come, and they seem to really be on top of it. And it's a tough thing to do when you're trying to sell real estate and stay on top of the tech world. In empty nesters, I find that, they have money to buy. I feel the baby boomers are the ones that still have money right now, and they have the money to buy. They're a little bit more methodical. They've bought or sold before, and they think things through. So millennials a little more quantitative, empty nesters a little more qualitative, I think, to sum up. I think the empty nesters know a little bit more about market conditions because they've experienced different markets. And they're a little bit more gun shy sometimes, especially in a market like this.
Okay. We've got an influx of people moving to Colorado and have for quite some time. Do you think the trend will continue? Do you see any signs of it slowing down?
That's a great question. I do. Well, I don't know that I'm actually seeing physical signs of it, but I feel like we're going to see it slow down. And my reasoning behind that is, we've been kind of on a torrid pace with price increases here. And at some point, the income level of jobs in Colorado with our home prices doing this and job income doing this, they're going to come to a boiling point. And I think the nature of marginal producing oil and gas companies in Denver, which I haven't heard come into too many discussions, but a lot of people are employed by the oil and gas company and oil and gas company in Colorado. They're marginal producers. I mean, they're not making any money at $40 a barrel. They're not making any money at $50 a barrel. So things like that, I try to stay on top of in informing my clients. But I think something's got to give pretty soon when we're seeing, 16, 17, 18% increases in neighborhoods on a year-over-year basis.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And I think it's a good thing for real estate. I think Denver's grown for the most part in a healthy way. We've got to work on some of our traffic systems, but I'm a proponent of growth if it's done right. And I think what we've seen just in the last 2 years in the Metro Denver area is astonishing. But what it's done is it's brought in great restaurants, it's brought in good companies, and it's brought in good people. I just don't know how long we can sustain the prices that we're seeing in the residential world.
Okay. And on that note, with so many people moving here and our inventory shortage, what trends do you think we're going to see? For example, do you think people will be moving to the suburbs since Denver prices are getting so high?
I do. I think people are moving to the suburbs, and I think that there's a lot of building going on east, north, and south. I mean, the home builders are still buying land and building, and the reason they're doing that is because people are moving there. And when you're in a hot market and prices go up close to the city center, people have a tendency to move out. And when the market slows or becomes stagnant, people have a tendency to move back in, to the city. And I think what we're seeing now is people are moving out because if they can get a brand new house in North Glen for $350, that's 2,400 square feet, rather than a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo in Capitol Hill for the same price, you're going to get people that are going to make that sacrifice because they want the space. And we all know what our clients are having to go through right now and decisions they're having to make. Some of them are tough, and some people have come here to move and decided not to move here because they can't afford what they want and didn't realize that Denver really was the way that it is. I just had a client and I had a conversation with her, and I warned her based on her purchase price that, and what she wanted. I didn't think she was going to be very happy, and got along great, spent 2 days with her, and she turned around and drove back to Austin, Texas, and said, I kind of have a good thing in Austin. So, I think we're seeing more and more of that too, especially on the lower end.
Okay. Do you have any general tips you can share with the audience today that would help them take their business to the next level?
Any general tips? I would say this is still a people business. I'm going to use the eyeball to eyeball term again. This is about people interacting. The internet and social media help drive our business, but the agent and client are still the foundation of real estate. And I'm a little bit of an old soul in that sense. And that's why I really make an effort to try to meet my clients in person. And I think it's helped my business substantially. And I understand in this world, time is everything, time is money, but just spending 10 minutes with a seller of mine last week over some concerns he had, it went tenfold. We got a price reduction and the house is under contract. And that doesn't happen every time, but that 10 minutes was precious for him to get his household and for me to get it under contract. And I think if there was an email exchange there or a text exchange, we wouldn't be where we are today with that particular property. So that would be one tip. Another tip is I wanted to kind of go back to the first question, the first question where I was mentioning that having a mentor is very important in real estate. And I would urge anybody that's looking to get into the business or is in the business now and is watching this, talk to some people in your office and see if you can buddy up with somebody. It doesn't mean you have to share business, but, shadow them, learn things, because we can all take a real estate exam and pass a real estate exam, but interacting with people and then learning how to interact with people in the real estate world is not an easy thing to do. And the way you learn how to do that is by learning from your peers and your fellow workers.
Okay. That leads me to another question. What to you is great customer service? A great customer service to me is being available for my clients as much as I possibly can be to answer questions, not being afraid to say I don't know, but then going and researching the answer and getting them answers to everything they need, responding to emails and phone calls in a timely manner. I try to respond in less than 2 hours to everything. Have I failed sometimes? I have, but I really try to stick to that. Clients and family first, and then vendors, I try to respond to those emails at the end of the day. But, great customer service is learning your market, servicing your market, and doing it well. Okay. What is the most important lesson you've learned in your career thus far?
Most important lesson I've learned in my career this far. I think probably I would say the most important thing that I've learned is experiences in real estate are invaluable. And what I mean by that is every transaction seems to present a new challenge. And I think essentially it's being able to overcome the challenges that come up on a daily basis. I don't know how else to answer that really, but that would be my answer to that question.
Okay. One for me was, if something's going awry, addressing it right away and just nipping it in the bud and, presenting, okay, this is what's going wrong. This is how we're going to fix it, and addressing it that way.
Yeah, no, and again, I think that's one aspect. I mean, absolutely. If there's an issue, get on it and take care of it and do it the right way. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you.
Well, good. Let's see. What's your biggest professional fear?
My biggest professional fear?
Mm-hmm. Is it picking up the phone, the 10,000-pound phone?
Getting in a car accident with my clients in the car.
Has that ever happened?
No, it hasn't. Knock on wood.
Oh my God.
My biggest professional fear is I think I really love this business, and I think there always comes a time or a point in time where there's downward pressure on commissions or on a niche that you have in the market. Somebody else is trying to take over. And my biggest fear is I think banks and the internet they're in our pockets and they're trying to get into our pockets more. And I feel that, like I mentioned, this is such a people business. I just fear that there's going to start to be a disconnect there. And when that happens, we're going to have more lawsuits. There's going to be less disclosure. Agents aren't going to be there to talk people through things. And we can sit here and say all day how important we are, and we know it. But convincing our clients to agree with us is one thing. So I think my biggest fear is that just the pressure that's coming from all of the other outside sources, whether it's internet related or whatever.
Okay. Well, we're just about done. Do you have any parting comments that you'd want to say, or anything you want to share with the audience that you haven't covered?
I don't think so. I mean, if anybody has any questions for me or wants me to elaborate on anything, they can always email me or call Libby. But I really appreciate you having me, and I hope we had some tech difficulties at the beginning, but I hope everybody got to see and hear everything okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like anybody's written in to ask any more questions, so I think we've pretty well covered it.
Okay.
So I just wanted to thank you again for being here with me and, sharing your advice. You've been in the business for quite a while, and I appreciate you sharing, the things that you've learned over the course of your career that have helped you become the agent that you are today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks.